Hello, and welcome to the Knitworthy podcast. My name is Brianne, also known as being Brianne on Ravelry and Instagram and pretty much everywhere. And I am so glad that you are here with me today. If you are a new viewer, I'd like to say hello and welcome. And if you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back. I'm so glad to have you. Today is going to be kind of like, a really good episode. I have a lot of stuff to talk about because it's been a few weeks, and I have a Craftalong to announce at the end, and a little heart-to-heart kind of talk a little bit later. And so you will want to watch today's episode because I think it's going to be really, really good. Lots of good things to talk about. So first, let's see, I live in Branson, Missouri, which is in the southwest corner of Missouri. Weather is starting to change. It's so exciting. This morning when I took the kids to school, or, we're waiting for the bus, it was like 55 degrees outside. It was beautiful. And of course we have some neighbors in our condo complex who just moved here from Arizona. And they're like bundled up. It is adorable. It is so cute. So, they have on jackets and scarves, and she's like, it is so cold this morning. And I'm like, just wait. It's going to get a lot colder than this. But, they're just in awe of how the trees are already starting to change a little bit. There's a little bit of red here and there, a little bit of orange, but predominantly the green is more of like a yellowy green. So that full fall color is just right around the corner, which is really exciting. Let's see. I don't want to knock my other little microphone down here. Let's see. Let's talk about what have I been wearing. I've mostly been wearing hand knit socks lately, and I am not going to get my feet up on this table to show you because number one, I'm not wearing any right this second. But number two, that's just not very ladylike. And I'm always a lady. Sure, we'll go with that. Let's see. Okay, so while this pulls up, I'm going to start talking about my projects. What have I been working on? Okay, so the first thing that I've been working on is I've been working on my Prairie Socks. This is a pattern by Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears podcast. Not the Bakery Barn podcast. Last time I said it was the Bakery Barn podcast. That doesn't even make sense. So I don't know what I was talking about. No big deal though. They are very kind and very sweet, and I'm sure that they will not have a problem with me having called their show by the wrong name. Okay, so Kay Jones designed this sock, and the last time I showed it to you, I was about to hear, and I was kind of in my head, I was going back and forth about the sock along with this yarn because it's a texture pattern, and from close up you don't really see the texture pattern, and I was kind of like, well, what's the point? Maybe I should just rip out and make a stockinette sock and use something a little bit more solid, not quite as speckly for this sock. And then I watched the podcast back while I was doing some other things, and I looked up and I saw you can see the texture pattern just fine from far away, and I got down a little bit further past the heel and I looked and I was like, I put it on my foot and it looks beautiful. So I'm keeping the pattern, the texture pattern, and I'm knitting it, continuing to knit. I'm about, I don't know, like maybe half an inch away from starting the toe. So I'm making good progress on this sock. I'm really happy. And I would definitely recommend the pattern. So easy to follow. Just a pleasure to work with. And this yarn is, from Plymouth Yarn, Happy Feet 100 Splash. It's a hand dyed, and this is the Tuscan Spice colorway. I'm going to be leaving this out because I'm going to show you something a little bit later, so you can compare and see something that I found to be rather interesting. Okay, the next thing that I'm working on, yay, there it is. Okay, I'm working on the Tan House Brook shawl by Jennifer Lassonde. This is just a textured shawl. It's an elongated shawl, which, as we discussed last time, works better for my body. Oh, look, it's kind of matching my shirt. That looks kind of pretty. Always nice to know that you're going to have options when you get finished with a shawl. So here I am. Ta-da! And it's going really well. I've begun the texture. Down here you can see there were some eyelets and some reverse stockinette, and I just finished up some more eyelets, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. So you know, it's definitely one of those ones where I love to work on it because I can see progress, and you know, I can have something interesting to work on. You know, that it's not just, I have things to look forward to in the pattern. It's not just, you know, garter stitch, which I just finished up a project that was just garter stitch and about lost my mind. So you know, this is good. This is a nice change of pace, not too difficult, very well written, very easy to follow. My only thing, I guess I have an "are you kidding me?" I had a very hard time counting with this shawl. Not any fault of the pattern at all. It was just me. I could not count to 2 apparently. It's all good. We all have days like that. So let's see, put that over there. I have one more thing that I've been working on, which I'm very pleased with, and that is the 3rd grade crayfish socks by Lisa Beth, my good friend Lisa Beth. I don't really know her, but I call her my good friend Lisa Beth because I don't know how to say her last name. I think it's Houchins. I think. Who knows? So I just call her my good friend Lisa Beth. This is, that was knit out of the Tan House Brook shawl, was knit out of Knit 1, Crochet 2, Crocodile in the garnet colorway. I finally remembered after I, of course, podcasted last time. I was like, oh, that's what it is. So I made a point to remember it for this time. This project, however, is knit out of my hand spun, which, oh, look at that. Isn't that so pretty? Oh, I am just loving knitting with my hand spun. It is just gorgeous. And I think this is a really great project because there's just a cable going down the side here and along the side of the foot, if you can see that. And so there's not a whole lot going on to where, you know, like it's a texture or a big pattern that's going to be obscured by the color changes and the different things going on with the yarn. And so I think it's a really great pattern and yarn marriage. The melding of the pattern and the yarn is beautiful. It's becoming one. That's very romantic. Yeah. This bag, which I get a lot of compliments on, is from Dana of Unwind, who is Unwind Yarn Company. You can find her as Dana of Unwind on Instagram, and also Unwind Yarn Company. She has an Instagram for her dyeing business, and also she sews bags, of course, and little things like that. So you can check her out. Today we're going to be talking a lot about Dana because I have some things to talk about. Only good things, of course. So that's what I've been working on. Let's see. Get that put away. Let's see. Things that I've finished. The first thing that I finished is I finished some hand spun. I am in love with this hand spun. It is gorgeous. It is from Dyed by Ivy. And I'm looking for, it says Your Daily Fiber Yarns and Fibers. So I don't know if that's the name of the company. I don't know. It also says Dyed by Daryl, Unique Hand Painted Yarns, but then it's crossed out and says Ivy and it says Rovings. So I got this at Interweave Yarn Fest, and it's an 80% merino, 20% black tencel, 4 ounces, and I got 252 yards of a beautiful, soft yarn, which I would probably consider to be like a DK weight perhaps. And I'm going to be gifting this to someone. I already have someone in mind, so I think it's going to be really fun. And it just turned out great. This was the one that was, it was a little bit less inexpensive. It was a little bit less expensive, I should say, less expensive than some of the other fiber that I purchased at Yarn Fest in Colorado. However, so all I did was I just made sure to do a really good job of prepping the yarn before I started spinning, and that made it a much more enjoyable yarn or fiber to work with. This is a 2-ply. A lot of times I will 3-ply just because I don't have a lot of bobbins, and so sometimes I'll just do like a chain ply because it's easier just to transfer it from one bobbin to the other. I only have 3, and my Lazy Kate is built for a different, not the size bobbin that I'm using, so I'd be really careful about how I do things. I will show you my spinning setup someday, and then it'll make a little bit more sense. But I always use my jumbo bobbins just because I find it easier to work with. I don't ever have to worry about running out of space, you know? Do you ever worry about that? I do. So this is going to be gifted. And the other thing that I finished, oh, my tower is going to fall. Don't fall. Don't fall. The other thing I finished was my beautiful scrappy Hitchhiker, which, let's see, I started here. The last time you saw it, it was to about here. And now it looks like this. And I would put it on, but I would totally scratch the microphone, and you guys would be like, oh, I don't want to make you go, oh. No. So I will not put this on, but I did try it on. It looks beautiful. Cascade 220 is such a great yarn to work with. And if you are on a yarn budget, I know I am, then, you know, you need to be mindful. And, you know, who is it? The Yarn Harlot says to buy the best that you can afford. And sometimes that means that you are buying knit picks. Sometimes it means you're buying Cascade. Sometimes it means you're buying like Madeline Tosh. It just depends on what you have. But I really think that using the best tools that you can makes the whole process so much nicer for everybody. And you will love knitting on your project a lot more. You will love the finished product a lot more. So I think it's really worth investing in your knitting, especially if it's something that you do a lot of. It's worth investing in yourself because you are worth it. Yes, you are. So these things are going to be given away, which I think it's going to be a very lovely gift. So I'm going to put this over here. I want to talk about future projects because I have a few things that I am going to be casting on in the very near future. This is going to be going onto my wheel next. Look at how pretty this is. This is from Wool Gatherings. It's an 80% merino, 20% silk. It's 4 ounces. And I'm trying to remember, I think I bought this off of Etsy. Perhaps. They're showing a different website on here, but I want to say I got this on Etsy. But it's just beautiful, and you know, I haven't done a lot with silk, and this is just 20% silk, so I think that's going to be a really nice kind of introduction to using silk in my spinning. So yes, it's just these beautiful. It has dark blue. It has like that light blue, it has green, it has light green, it has a beautiful yellow, and just a little bit of gray, and a little bit of like just touches of black here and there. And so I think this is going to be just end up being gorgeous. this will probably take me a while to spin. Everything takes me a while to spin. Well, let's be honest. I don't spend enough time at my wheel, and so things take me a long time to spin. But I think I will definitely enjoy spinning this, and I'll probably do a little bit more fiber prep on this one too. Not because there's anything wrong with the fiber, but just because it worked out so well for me last time, that I think I'll probably do it again. And I did just find I found my scale, my kitchen scale, so I can make sure that I have the same amount of fiber in each, little section, each half, so that way I'm a little bit closer on my spinning. They'll hopefully be about the same length when I go to ply. That would always be a good thing. I'll leave that out and I'll put that on my spinning wheel today. So Socktober is coming. So super excited. And this is going to be my first time really kind of I don't want to say I'm like participating, like I'm jumping and like competing in anything. I think I'm more going to, just try and focus on socks in September or October, because socks are of course a joy. And I've decided I'm going to cast on these socks. This is Cascade Yarns Heritage Prints. I got this from the Village Yarnery in Springfield, Missouri, and I think I bought it in December. So I'd like to get this done. These are going to be socks for Brian for Christmas. This is color number 38, in case you're interested. It looks like it knits up. It has a little picture here on the side of what it looks like. It has the blue and then the white, and then it has that kind of black and white little section there. And so yeah, but this is a generous 437 yards. And I think that will then give me some leftovers for my beautiful, someday I'm going to make a self-striping blanket, scrappy blanket. Someday it'll happen. And then I really wanted to cast on, I have yarn from Dana of Unwind Yarn Company. I have several skeins, and I couldn't decide which skein of yarn I wanted to make a pair of socks from. So I got all my yarn out from her. I have 4 skeins of yarn that are hers, or from her, I should say. They're mine. I bought them from her. So I have this beautiful Journey sock, which is 400 yards of superwash merino wool and 20% nylon, in the Mariposa colorway, which was a club when I originally got it, but I know that I believe she has some in her shop again. The last time I look at her shop rather frequently because I really love what she does. And I'm always hoping to find the next beautiful skein of yarn to add to my collection. So I have this Mariposa, which I think is beautiful. It's like a silvery gray with little short little bits of like a teal blue, a beautiful magenta, green. I see little speckles of yellow here and there. It's just gorgeous. I have this is Rendezvous Sport Sock in the Gracie Pearl colorway. Is this not to die for? Look at that. It's gorgeous. It's an 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 328 yards to the 4 ounces. And this is just purples and like little tiny itty bitty speckles of just here and there, not even like a speckled yarn. It's really not. It's just, you see little bits of like yellow and blue, and it's so gorgeous. This is one that I've had my eye on for a long time, and when it came up, I snagged it, like grabbed it like that. I said, mine. I was like a 2-year-old. It was great. The other one, this is, let's see, Rendezvous Sport Sock, again, in the Let Them Eat Cake colorway. So that's, again, the 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 328 yards. And this is so pretty. It has white, it has like an aqua blue, and then it has a little bit of pink, like a kind of a yellowish green, and more, you know, speckly bits there. So gorgeous. I hope you can see how beautiful this is. And then my last one is one that I got on D-Stash. It's Journey sock. So that's the 400 yards of an 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon in the alpine colorway. And what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to kind of front load my sock knitting, which means I'm going to start knitting these socks now, because it's not really like you have to start and finish these socks in October, but it's more like you want to finish as many socks as you can in October, and I am all for that. So I think I'm actually just going to start all of these socks, including the ones for Brian, the Cascade. But I love these, and I want to have beautiful socks from them, and I don't want to wait any longer to knit on them, because I don't want to hoard her yarn and never use it. That would just be sad, right? So in any case, you all need to go check out Unwind Yarn Company. It's a big cartel shop, which is very nice. Dana's done a really good job of designing her website. So go take a look, see what you can find, order some yarn. And I think she might have a code going around right now. You might want to look at her Instagram first before you place an order, just to see if there's any kind of code that you can use. I know that she had one going a week or two ago, but I'm not quite sure if that's still active. So go take a look. Unwind Yarn Company on Instagram, Unwind Yarn Company on the World Wide Web. All right, so there's that. So I have another Are You Kidding Me? How am I doing on time? I'm doing pretty good. I have another Are You Kidding Me? When we moved, I knew I was not going to have enough. We moved in April into this condo, which is 1,000 square feet, and which I knew that we were going to have to downsize quite a bit. That's okay. Totally okay with that. So I had to go through things and, you know, figure out what was going to stay and what was going to go. So we had a lot of giveaway and trash piles. We had a lot of, like, you know, piles that were going to leave the house and never come back. And then we had a couple of piles for, this doesn't fit in our condo, it needs to go into storage. We have a storage unit that's like just right over there. I can actually see our storage unit from my laundry room. So, you know, it's not that far. I do have a little, like, under bed storage area where I keep my yarn, where I keep my yarn that I currently want to do things with. And then the rest of my yarn is in the storage unit. And I wasn't sure how I felt about that at first. Honestly, I felt deprived because I was used to being able to go and take a look at my yarn whenever I wanted to. And now I couldn't, but I really can. You know, I just have to go over to the storage unit. It's not that far away. And so you know, my attitude about things has kind of shifted, and, like, I feel more grown up. It's all good. I don't feel deprived. I feel like challenged to find things that I can do with the yarn that I currently have. You know what I mean? And, like, the yarn that I bring home, the yarn that anything that I purchase, I'm not like hiding it away anymore and saying, well, I'll get to this eventually. Like, I'm trying to use up what I bring in, and then, you know, it, like, inspires me, and that's a good thing. But I could not find my container of, like, DPNs, the container that had my fixed circulars and my straights. Not that I have a lot of straight needles, but I did have some. Could not find it. Had been missing since April. Where on earth is it? So I looked everywhere in this 1,000 square foot condo. Did not take me very long, but I looked. I looked in my car. I looked everywhere I could think of. I could not figure out where this thing had gone. And I came to the reluctant realization that it's very possible that it had been given away. Not intentionally, but it just might have gotten put into the wrong pile of things that maybe were going to be given away instead of going to storage. So 2 weekends ago, we were out, and I told my husband, I said, Brian, would you mind if we stop by the storage unit? I just need to look for something. And he goes, sure, of course. So we stop by the storage unit as we're pulling into the condo complex, and I go inside, I look at all my beautiful bins of yarn, and I look around and I can't find, we don't have that much in storage at this point, so it was not hard to look through my things to see that it was not there. And I get in the car, and I looked a little bit dejected. I looked kind of upset, a little frustrated, and Brian said, what's wrong? And I said, I can't find my fabric container of my knitting needles. And I said, I've been using my interchangeables, and I've been using whatever, fixed circulars that I had and stuff that I had projects on when we moved, but I can't find these needles. And I said, I've collected them over the last, 15 years of knitting, and I'm kind of upset that maybe I might have given them away on accident. And he goes, well, what does it look like? And so I told him, I said, it looks like this, it's a blue, floral fabric, kind of cylindrical container that you can roll up your needles into. And he goes, that's in my car. I was like, what? He goes, oh yeah, that's been in my car since like April. So we pulled out his car keys, and we found them immediately. They were underneath his driver's seat, and I rushed them upstairs, and I opened them up, and I had forgotten that the kids had accidentally, in their zeal for wanting to help with packing, had accidentally spilled out all of my needles on the floor. So all of my DPNs, everything, were all mixed together, and I did not have time in the moment to fix them, so I just shoved them back in, and I'll deal with this later. Well, I was so excited to see them. I spent the next 45 minutes sorting through all my needles, and here it is. See, isn't it beautiful? My friend Amy made this for me. I had found a design for one that I really liked on Etsy, and we made a deal. I made a hat and scarf and mittens for her daughter, and she made this for me, and to my specifications, and it turned out beautiful. I'll unwrap it so you can see what it looks like. It unrolls like this, and it looks like that. So I'm so happy to have it back. We counted, I have like 22 sets of needles in here, so that would have been a lot to try and replace. I could not have done that all at once, that's for sure. So yeah, but it just ties up with this beautiful ribbon, and then it's ready to go. So I'm gonna put that over here now. Okay. Gilding the Lily. So, I met with my friends Michelle and Laurette last Friday to have a knitting day, and I got there at 8:30, and I had to leave at like 1:15 in order to get home so that I could be home for when my kids get home from school. But it was like the most wonderful day. It was, we talked, we ate food together, we watched a knitting podcast on Michelle's, like they have like a movie room and with a big TV. And so we got to watch the Knit Girls, like big. They were like, it was like sitting with them, like live and in person. But Michelle knows that I'm collecting sock yarn, and so she gave me this whole big bag of sock yarn bits so I can add to my blanket. Isn't that so sweet of her? I am so thrilled. I mean, there's just lots of stuff in here that I'm so super excited to use. And I would get them all out, but then I'd probably end up spending the rest of my time like showing them to you, and I have other things to talk about. So I'm going to have fun delving into this and sorting through it and deciding what's going to go where and all of that. Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate it. It's going to be great. Such fun. The other thing that I brought home was I went to Cecilia Samplers, which is a needlework store here in Branson that has, it's mostly cross stitch and embroidery. She has just a very tiny bit of assortment of fabric. She has notions, and she has a small yarn section in the back of her store. And I found this, which this is the Plymouth Yarn Happy Feet 100 Splash hand dyed in the Tuscan Spice colorway. And I wanted to show you, this is a great example of, this is a hand dyed yarn. This is the same colorway. You see how different they are? This is different lots. And this is why if you are going to be making something big out of hand dyed yarn, please make sure you get very similar lots. Luckily, I'm not trying to match these two because I wouldn't be able to. It would be very, very difficult. This is much more color saturated than this one is. And I think they're both very beautiful, which is why I brought this one home, because I think it's just beautiful in a different way. And so, but I wanted to show this to you. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this yet, but I loved this so much, the color and the feel of the yarn, that I wanted to get another one. This I had originally purchased at the Village Yarnery in Springfield, but this was from Branson here, Cecilia Samplers. I just happened to see that she had another one, and I was like, well, there you go, bringing that home. So yes, so it'll be interesting to see how this knits up compared to this. And but I will be figuring out what I want to do with that. I kind of thought there is a shawl called Raina, which is specifically made for like variegated yarns, yarns that have a lot going on, but I don't know that I have enough yardage to do that shawl, so we'll see. This only has 384 yards, and I think Raina takes 400, so we shall see. Okay, now it's time for the heart to heart. I'm nervous. So I wrote out what I wanted to say, and I'm going to kind of use that here and there. But let me take a sip of my coffee and like, whew. Okay, so I want to talk today about me. I know that's surprising given this is my podcast. That I would talk about myself. I pretty much talk about myself the whole time, but that's okay. But I want to talk about something that isn't about knitting. And talking about personal things can be really difficult because you don't know how they're going to be received. It would be really easy for me to spend all of my time talking about surface things, about easy things, because it feels safe. And if I only talk to you about my crafting and show you pretty things, then there's no way that I can get hurt, right? So, but if you've watched back episodes, even back to the beginning, when Mom was hosting with me, you know, we are not very good at just keeping things surface level. We've talked about a lot of things on this podcast, from, you know, personal things, from like, you know, my grandmother being sick, and talking about, you know, having to move because of financial reasons, and all kinds of things. We've talked about a lot of different things on the show. And but there's something that we've talked about in the past, and I haven't been completely honest about, I've talked about it partially, but not in full. And I want to, since it's something that's kind of come back up, I want to talk with you again about it now. So, early in the podcast and here and there throughout the past few years that I've been doing this, I've mentioned my struggle with anxiety. It's something I've dealt with for the last 13 years. And at the same time that I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, which is what I have, basically means doesn't take anything special to freak me out. Little things cause me a lot of anxiety. Everything from, I've texted a person and what are they going to say back to me? Or I'm driving down the road and, I get anxious about, what if a deer comes and, I'm on the freeway, but what if a deer comes and, it doesn't take much, and a lot of it is just things in my head that make me anxious. But at the same time that I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, I was also diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And technically that just means that my moods swing back and forth from really high highs, which is called a manic phase, to very low lows, which is a depressed phase. Sometimes you see, sometimes you see bipolar disorder characterized as someone going out and, doing really crazy things. And that does happen during a manic phase. For me, manic phases often manifest themselves as me cleaning out the fridge obsessively at 3:00 in the morning. I don't sleep. I don't take very good care of myself. And I tend to the anxiety gets really bad, and I tend to just clean obsessively and organize things. And it's really, I've had people say, wow, I wish I could have a manic phase so that I could, get my house clean. It's not fun. And it's very frustrating, and it's really makes me feel really sad when it happens because I don't want to be that way. And then it's followed by very low lows. And I've been on medication every day for the last 13 years, and I'm generally very well managed. But recently I had my first manic episode in several years, which was then followed by a depressed phase, which was my worst ever. And I'll be really honest, I was a little bit concerned that when I saw my psychiatrist that she was going to need to admit me someplace so that I could get help and get stabilized. But thankfully, I have the unwavering support of my family and my friends, some of my friends that know about this, and they've helped me in a lot of ways. They got me to my psychiatrist, who gave me some new medications and adjusted some others and took out some others. So there's lots of my brain chemistry is whoa, what's going on here? Which is why I'm a little bit scatterbrained this morning. I have a lot of notes here. And the reason I'm talking about this, because it'd be really easy to it'd be so much easier to not talk about it, is because it's incredibly hard to live like everything is wonderful and you've never been better when you really aren't. I've gotten really great at acting over the last 13 years, but that way of life is really exhausting. And I take meds to help me prevent the incredibly drastic swinging of my moods, but I still have those highs and lows to deal with. I'd rather be honest and live my life honestly and just say, I'm having a hard day, than pretending like things were great. And if you are my friend, then you actually care about how I'm really feeling. And you don't want me to pretend with you and say, I'm great, everything's so great, everything's wonderful and perfect, when inside I just want to cry. And that's because that's what a true friend does. They care. So part of growing up is learning coping mechanisms to deal with life. and feelings and everything that comes along with that. And having a mental illness means that I've had to learn some extra coping mechanisms. And so I wanted to share with you about one of those today, and that's gratitude. It's something that I've utilized on a daily basis for the last 4 years or so. No matter how bad I'm feeling, every day I choose to look for positive things to be grateful for. Some days it's really easy. Some days it is so easy because those things are just right in front of me. And some days it is super hard. But every day I write down at least 3 things I'm grateful for, and it forces me to focus on good things. So this is my current journal. It looks like this. I got it at Target a while back. This is what my journal looks like. This is a place that we went with my father-in-law when he was in town this past weekend. And I try really hard every day to write how I'm doing. Sometimes I had a good doctor's appointment. And last night, one of them was hearing Brianne and Owen work on algebra at the dinner table. Brianne is so good with homework and explaining things in a way that's easy to understand. I'm not good at algebra. My husband loves algebra. We let Brianne take care of all the math homework. But I number my thankful things because I want to see how there are so many things that I have been thankful for and so many good things in my life. And so yesterday I put in number 3,347. As you can see right there. And I keep my journals so that I can look back and see the things that I've been thankful for. And there have been a lot of times where if I'm in a really hard place that I look back and I read through my thankful things. I'm thankful for, a fresh loaf of bread. I'm thankful for, the sun on my face as I take a nap. I'm thankful for a million things, 3,000 things I've thought of to be thankful for. And some of them are repeats. Yes, that's okay. But I'm thankful for them. And I want my focus to be on the good things. So, how does this tie into knitting? How does this tie into crafting? How does this tie into anything? For those of you who have stuck through that, I want to say thank you. I'm trying to live my life more honestly and take better care of myself, and this is part of that. And I'm going to be more honest with my friends, my other friends, my real life friends, and with my family. A lot of my family know what I struggle with, but I want to live my life honestly. I'm not ashamed of the fact that I have bipolar disorder or anxiety or anything. It's just part of who I am, but it's part of who I am, but it is not completely who I am. Does that make sense? It does not define me completely. I am more than just a mental illness, right? Right. Okay. So, I want to encourage positivity and gratefulness in all of my friends. So I'm hosting a gratitude Craftalong from now until the end of the year. This is a very open Craftalong, okay, that I want everyone to participate in. You can choose to participate with us on the Ravelry board, in the Knitworthy podcast group. I'll open up a thread today or possibly tomorrow, depending on when I get this uploaded, to talk about, I want to hear what you're grateful for. I want to see the things that you're making that you're grateful for. What about them makes you happy? What about them is the yarn the most beautiful yarn you've ever used? Are you loving the texture of the fabric that you're knitting? You know, are you loving the place that you're at when you're knitting it? Or crafting, or, you know, whatever it is. You know, I mean, if you want to crochet, if you want to quilt, if you want to sew, if you want to make hand woven baskets, it all counts. I don't care. I want you to be happy with what it is that you're making. And I want to see you post all of these things. I want you to tell me what you're grateful for in your life right now. I want you to encourage other people. I want you to post things that make us laugh or make us think or inspire us, whatever it is that's positive. I want that to be that place. You can post as many times as you want. I want, you know, if someone posts something that meant something to you or that encouraged you, respond back. This is not like a no chatter thread. I'm going to do this project through the end of the year. But along the way, whenever I feel like it, I'm going to use a random number generator and pull a winner, and send out prizes, because I want this to be a fun thing for along the way, and to be an enjoyable thing for everybody. I don't really have a lot of rules for this because I don't have the energy to enforce them. But you can use current whips. You can start projects specifically for this. You don't have to finish anything by the end of the year. Don't feel like, you know, you can't start this sweater that you've always dreamed of starting, but because you don't think you can finish it by the end of the year. Don't worry about it. Start it. If it makes you happy, that's what I want you to do. This is really low key and very low stress. Seriously. Like, I want it to be great. And if you want to double dip, if you want to have your friends join in, that's awesome. I'm going to do the hashtag so we can follow along with what we're doing. It's going to be, I'm going to write this down so I remember. It's going to be hashtag gratitude CAL 2017. Okay? So if you're going to post things on Instagram, that's the tag I want you to use so I can see, because I'll be pulling from Ravelry and Instagram both. So, but, you know, mostly from Ravelry, I think. But I'd love to see what it is that you're working on Instagram too. So this is the first prize that I'm going to be giving away. It's this beautiful skein of Madeline Tosh. It's the Tosh DK in the Byzantine colorway. It's 100% superwash merino wool in a DK weight, 225 yards. This is gorgeous, and it needs to go home with one of you. So start posting. So that's it. That's all I have for today, and that's plenty. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being with me today, for hanging out, and I really appreciate it. It's definitely a, you know, kind of different ending tone than normally I go for, but you know, life is really short, and life is too short to live hiding who you are, and so there you go. But you know, we have so much to be thankful for, and I am so excited to see how everybody participates in this. And I know I'm going to get a lot out of it. I hope you all get a lot out of it as we focus on having gratitude, being thankful for the things that we have in our lives, and focusing on those things rather than what we don't have. Maybe, you know what, maybe you're grateful that you don't have whatever it is. You know, you don't have a car payment. Maybe that's what you're thankful for, that you don't have something. That's great too. I want to hear things, so tell me. But in any case, I'll be back in as soon as I can to start showing you the things that I'm grateful for, to update you on my sock, like front loading my socks for Socktober. and Socktober, not September. But I am so excited. I think good things are ahead, and they can only get better, and I am looking forward to that. So it's going to be good. I love you guys, and if you want to talk with me, I have knitworthypodcast@gmail.com is my podcast email address. You can reach me on Ravelry, where I'm being Brianne. You can send me a message on Instagram, where I'm being Brianne. There's a lot of ways to get a hold of me. I'd love to talk to you. Love to hear anything that you would have to say. So there's that. Hope you all have a fantastic week and a fantastic weekend. Can't wait to talk to you again. And until next time, just remember that you are knitworthy. Bye, friends.